From the removal of the Eagle Artillery and addition of the Guardians to the new troop and fancy shop, the Town Hall 18 update has surprised us in many ways, and it has completely changed what we thought was possible, and now we know just how much more different the future of Clash of Clans could really look like. So today I just want to go over these major changes and what they all mean for the future of the game, so let's get right into it. The first major thing we need to talk about is the introduction of a story element with an actual cinematic animation when you upgrade to Town Hall 18. Now, this might not seem like a massive deal at first, but this is actually something that has never been done before in the game. When you upgrade to Town Hall 18, you actually see a short cinematic showing a meteor crashing down and completely destroying your Town Hall 17, and then the builder uses that meteorite to build a new Town Hall 18, and you actually have to tap away the meteorite debris to reveal the new Town Hall, which is a really cool touch that makes it feel a lot more interactive than just a simple construction animation. This is the first time Supercell has actually tried to introduce more of a narrative or lore element into the core progression of the game, and I really think this is a direct result of them working on the Netflix show. If you didn't already know, Clash of Clans is getting an animated series on Netflix, and it seems like Supercell is starting to establish more of a cohesive story and universe for the game to tie into that show, and this upgrade animation is probably just the beginning of what we'll see in terms of storytelling in the game. I mean, for over a decade, Clash of Clans really didn't have much of a story at all. We had the Goblin campaign maps and some vague lore here and there, but there was never any real narrative driving the game forward or explaining why things were happening. We had Clash-orama, but that wasn't officially created by Supercell, so there isn't any solid lore in there either. But now with the meteor crash and the Guardians emerging from it, we're seeing Supercell create actual story moments that explain where new features come from within the universe of the game. This opens up so many possibilities for the future because now Supercell can justify adding pretty much anything to the game by tying it to some sort of story event. This will just make the game more interesting and enjoyable in my opinion, and is really good for the future as it's just more content for players to look forward to, and it would be cool if we could get to a similar point as where Brawl Stars is with the lore in that game, because I think Brawl Stars does a really good job with lore and that has made that a really strong community. But moving on to the second major change, we need to talk about the complete removal of the Eagle Artillery from the game at Town Hall 18. Now, this is absolutely massive because this is the first time a defense has been fully removed from the game past a certain Town Hall level. At Town Hall 17, we saw the Eagle Artillery get merged with the Town Hall to create the Inferno Artillery weapon, which was already a pretty big change. But now at Town Hall 18, that Town Hall weapon is completely gone, which means the Eagle Artillery is fully out of the game, and this is completely new in Clash of Clans history. We've seen defenses get merged together with the introduction of merged defenses at Town Hall 16, but even with those merges, you could still see elements of both original defenses in the merged version. For example, when the Archer Towers merged, you still had towers that functioned similarly to Archer Towers, just with some enhanced abilities, but with the Eagle Artillery at Town Hall 18, it's just completely gone and replaced by the Guardians, which are an entirely different defensive mechanic. The Eagle Artillery was one of the most iconic and powerful defenses in the game, and the idea that Supercell would just remove it completely seemed impossible, but that is exactly what happened with this update, and what this shows us is that Supercell is willing to make really drastic changes to the game and isn't afraid to completely remove things that have been around for years if it means making room for new mechanics. This means that in the future we could see other long-standing defenses disappear as well. We are seeing a lot of the more simple defenses turn more complex through merging, such as with the cannons and archer towers, and now with Town Hall 18 we also have the wizard towers, and there is a chance other more complex defenses like the Inferno Towers or Monolith could potentially be getting removed in the future as well, and that is crazy to think about. but I think this is actually a really positive thing for the game's longevity because it means Supercell won't be held back by the limitations of older game mechanics. As the game continues to grow and add more town hall levels, bases were going to get increasingly crowded and it would become harder to add new interesting defenses without things feeling cluttered, but by removing older defenses and replacing them with new ones, Supercell can keep the game feeling fresh while also managing the size and complexity of bases. It's similar to what they've done with merged defenses, but this is even more extreme because it's a complete removal rather than just a combination. The third major change is the addition of the Meteor Golem as a permanent troop in the game. Now, the Meteor Golem was originally introduced as a temporary troop, but with Town Hall 18, it's being added permanently to the game, and this is the first time a temporary troop from the home village has been made permanent. Now, we've seen temporary troops come and go for years with various events, and some of them have been really popular with the community, but Supercell has always kept them as temporary features that would disappear after the event ended, with a few exceptions, as some would get added to the clan capital, and we would see the Lavaloon puppet, but that doesn't fully count because first of all, it's complete garbage, so no one uses it, and second of all, it's tied to a hero, and you can't just train them up, so there isn't any flexibility there. The Meteor Golem being made permanent breaks that pattern, and it opens up the possibility that other temporary troops we've seen in the past could also be added permanently in the future. This is really exciting because there have been some amazing temporary troops over the years that players absolutely loved. There are definitely other temporary troops that could work really well as permanent additions if they were balanced properly, and it could just be cool to see. And for Supercell, it is great because they have an easy way of testing troops. The Meteor Golem is also a really interesting troop mechanically because it's made up of two meteor mites that can split apart and recombine, giving it some unique mobility since the meteor mites can jump over walls, while the golem itself cannot, and it makes you wonder whether or not Supercell was planning this all along, because this troop is very on brand with the town hall, so maybe even in the future we can get hints about future town halls just by looking at temporary troops. And it's crazy how the Meteor Golem was a massive hint towards Town Hall 18 that we just didn't realize. Moving on to the fourth major change, we have the Guardians, which are an entirely new mechanic in the game. The Guardians are basically moving defenses that patrol around your town hall, and you can choose between two different Guardians that each have their own abilities and stats. The Smasher Guardian is a melee unit that deals splash damage and rages when the town hall is destroyed, while the Longshot Guardian is a ranged unit that explodes when defeated. This is completely different from anything we've seen before in Clash of Clans. Every other defense in the game has been stationary, but the Guardians actually move around and patrol specific routes. You can even tap on the Guardian to see its patrol path, which is a really cool feature that lets you strategically plan your base layout around where the Guardian will be during an attack. And the fact that you can choose which Guardian to use means there's an element of customization that we haven't really had with defenses before. The Guardians are essentially like customizable town hall weapons, except they're separate entities that move around. And this mechanic has so much potential for future expansion. We're starting with just 2 Guardians at Town Hall 18, but there's no reason Supercell couldn't add more Guardians in future updates. Maybe at Town Hall 19 we'll get a 3rd Guardian option, or maybe they'll add new Guardian types with completely different abilities and movement patterns, kind of like how the Siege machines have expanded so much to now where they can do many different things and there are different options for different purposes. And the Guardian system also opens up possibilities for more complex base design strategies. Since the Guardians patrol specific routes, base builders will need to think carefully about where to position their town hall and how to design their bases so that the Guardians patrol route covers the most important areas. This adds a whole new layer of strategy that didn't exist before, and it makes base building more interesting because you're not just thinking about static defense positions anymore, and it also makes attacking more interesting in the game. And even while a Guardian is upgrading, the lower level version will still appear in ranked battles and wars, which is a really nice quality of life feature that Supercell added. This shows they're thinking about how to balance progression without punishing players for upgrading their Guardians during war season, since this is a big problem with the heroes, so at least they aren't adding that problem to the Guardians, which are similar to the heroes in a couple of ways, but overall the Guardian system is probably the most innovative new mechanic in the the Town Hall 18 update, and it really shows that Supercell is committed to adding genuinely new and interesting features rather than just incrementally improving existing ones. This is the kind of thing that gets players excited and keeps the game feeling fresh, and I'm really curious to see how Supercell expands on this system in future updates. The fifth major change is the Revenge Tower, which is arguably the most unique and complex defense that has ever been added to the game. The Revenge Tower is completely inactive at the start of an attack, but it gradually becomes more powerful as the attack progresses and more buildings are destroyed. After 5 buildings are destroyed, it becomes a single target high damage defense. After 20 buildings are destroyed, it starts bouncing shots to a second target, and after 40 buildings are destroyed, it reaches maximum range and can hit up to 3 targets at once with even faster attack speed. This is a completely new defensive concept that we haven't seen before. Every other defense in the game has worked the same way throughout the entire attack, but the Revenge Tower actually gets stronger as the attack goes on. This fundamentally changes how attacks need to be planned, because now you have to think about the Revenge Tower ramping up in power, and slow or grindy attacks that take a long time will get punished more heavily. And we've also seen Supercell add other complex defenses recently with the merged Wizard Towers at Town Hall 18. The Super Wizard Tower chains its attacks to up to 15 nearby enemies, which is similar to the Electro Dragon's attack pattern. This is way more complex than the original Wizard Towers, which just did simple splash damage to a small area, so we're seeing a clear trend towards defenses becoming more intricate and having unique mechanics that require more thought and strategy to deal with. This is really important for the game's future, because as players get better and attack strategies become more refined, defenses need to evolve as well to keep things challenging. Simple defenses like the Cannon or Archer Tower were fine in the early days of the game, but nowadays they feel pretty basic compared to what skilled players can do. By adding defenses with complex mechanics like the Revenge Tower, Supercell is ensuring that attacks remain challenging and interesting even as players continue to improve, and I think we'll continue to see more defenses like this in the future. Maybe we'll get defenses that change their targeting priorities based on what troops are deployed, or defenses that have multiple phases with different abilities. The possibilities are really endless now that Supercell has shown they're willing to create defenses with dynamic behaviors rather than just static functions. This is definitely a positive direction for the game, and it'll help keep the defensive side of Clash of Clans interesting and fun. And finally, the sixth major change is the Fancy Shop, which is probably the most important addition for max players and long-term retention. The Fancy Shop is a new exclusive shop that's only available to players who can earn Sparky Stones by completing Supercharge upgrades and crafted defense module upgrades. And this shop offers exclusive cosmetic items that I'm sure will be different depending on the Town Hall and will match the theme, so people can know at which stages of the game you are at the max level. This is the first time Supercell has really done something significant specifically for max players. In the past, once you maxed out your Town Hall, there wasn't really much left to do except wait for the next update. Sure, you could war and push trophies, but in terms of progression, you were basically done. A lot of max players would either quit the game or become less active because they felt like they had nothing left to work towards. But the Fancy Shop changed this because now max players have a reason to keep playing and engaging with the game even after they've maxed everything out. By completing Supercharge upgrades and crafted defense modules, they can earn Sparky Stones, which can be spent on exclusive cosmetics that show off their dedication and accomplishments. And these cosmetics are actually meaningful because they're tied to temporary content that not everyone will have access to, so they serve as status symbols that demonstrate you are playing and actively engaging during specific time periods. And what's really smart about this system is that all previous Supercharge and crafted defense upgrades will be retroactively converted to Sparky Stones. This means longtime players who have been doing these upgrades all along will immediately have a stockpile of Sparky Stones to spend, which is a great way to reward player loyalty and give them an immediate payoff for their past efforts. This is exactly the kind of thing the game needed for long-term player retention. One of the biggest problems with Clash of Clans has always been that max players would eventually run out of things to do and would drift away from the game, but by giving them exclusive cosmetic progression that's only available to max players, Supercell is creating an endgame that extends beyond just having max stats. Now, there's always something to work towards, even if you've completed all the traditional upgrades. And I think we'll see the fancy shop expand over time with more exclusive items being added in future updates. Maybe they'll add hero skins or special effects for troops and spells that are only available through the fancy shop. This creates a whole separate progression system that runs parallel to the traditional upgrade system, and it gives Supercell a way to continuously add content for max players without having to release a new town hall every time or make any drastic changes. So overall, the fancy shop is a really important addition that shows Supercell is thinking seriously about player retention at the highest levels of the game. And combined with all the other changes we've talked about in this video, it's clear that Town Hall 18 is one of the most significant updates the game has ever received in terms of completely changing what we thought was possible for the future of Clash of Clans. Supercell has shown that they're willing to make dramatic changes to keep the game fresh and interesting, and all of these changes point towards a future where Clash of Clans continues to evolve and surprise us rather than just following the same predictable patterns we've seen for years. So let me know what you guys think about all of these changes down in the comments and which one you're most excited about. But that is also it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one.